Hey, thanks for clicking on my video. If this video helps you, please consider liking this video and subscribing to my channel. It is greatly appreciated and it really helps. Let's get to the video. Let's talk about how we can find some coterminal angles. So first of all, what is a coterminal angle? Just when the terminal side of two angles drawn in standard position coincide, or they're right on top of each other, these angles are said to be coterminal. So how can we figure out some coterminal angles? Well, an angle is coterminal with a given angle if we can add or subtract a multiple of 360 to it. Okay, so let's read that second bullet point again. An angle coterminal with a given angle can be found by adding or subtracting multiples of 360. Okay, so for example, if you're looking at a diagram of two angles drawn, and if we had a 360 degree angle and we had a 720 degree angle, it's going to virtually look the same, right? Because we know it's gone one full circle for 360, so the terminal side would be back on the positive side of the x-axis. And then for 720, we just rotate it another 360 and it's going to end up still on the positive side of the x-axis. So that's what we're talking about with coterminal angles. So for examples, we're just going to give one positive and one negative angle that would be coterminal with the given angle. So essentially we just want to add 360 or subtract 360. Now that might not always be the case because like for example on number 3, if we subtract 360, we still have a positive angle, right? And for the purposes of these examples, we want to have one positive angle and one negative angle. So we might have to add 720, we might have to add or subtract 720, just some multiple of 360 that gets us one positive and one negative angle. All right, so number 1, we're starting off with an 80 degree angle. So if we add 360 to that, then our positive angle would be 440 degrees. And for this one, we could subtract 360 as well, and we're going to end up with negative 280 degrees. So we have all three of those angles, 80, 440, and negative 280 would essentially look the same. Their terminal side would be in the same place, but we've rotated obviously a different number of degrees each time, but they would be considered coterminal angles. All right, number 2, we have 230 degrees. So if we add 360, we would be left with 590 degrees. And if we subtracted 360, we would have negative 130 degrees. So there's our two coterminal angles with 230. Not our only two, but two examples, sample answers, if you will, one positive and one negative. All right, number 3, we have 740. So to find our positive, or one of our positive coterminal angles, we technically could add or subtract 360 in this case, right? Because if I subtract 360, I still have a positive angle, which would satisfy the requirements for these problems. But I'm just going to go ahead and stick with our pattern, and I'm just going to add 360. So that's going to give me a 1,200 degree angle. And now we're not going to be able to subtract 360 to get our negative. We're going to have to subtract 720. And so that's going to leave us with negative 340 degrees. Okay. All right. Or technically, we're not going to be able to subtract 720, right? Because even if we subtract 720, that's going to leave us with 20 degrees. So we're going to have to subtract an additional 360. And that's how we end up with negative 340 degrees. Okay. All right. Number 4, we have negative 135. So I'm going to add 360 to get 225 degrees for my positive coterminal angle. And then for my negative coterminal angle, I'm going to do negative 495 degrees. Okay? All right, and that's what a coterminal angle is, and that's how you can find a positive and a negative coterminal angle from a given angle.